On this episode, we're discussing Vinyl Wishlist with David from the Vinyl Score, Paolo from Gigawatts, and Mark from Popcorn and Vinyl. Let's cue the music. Guys, welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to chatting about vinyl and film scores with you guys. And we're talking about wish lists. We're talking about things that aren't on vinyl that we wish were on vinyl. For me personally, I mean, my list is a mile long, but I figured I would pick stuff for myself that may actually have a chance. So if anybody from TerraVision, from Waxwork, from anybody, Mondo, Death Waltz, anybody at all, I feel like the ones that I picked are viable. There was a couple where I'm like, they're not going to do that. There's, one of my favorite scores of all time, I mentioned to you guys before, is Beneath the 12-Mile Wreath by Bernard Herrmann. Film Score Monthly put it out on CD back in like 1997. I don't think in the year 2023 or beyond we're going to get a vinyl pressing of that. As bad as I want that score, it's not going to happen. So the three I'm picking, I'm hoping someone out there is listening to this show or watching it on YouTube and is like, "Oh, we can do that. We should do that."
You never know.
So,
I've seen some odd things happen. What was the one, Mark, you did a few years ago? The Holiday came out on a vinyl press, and I said, "Man,
I willed it."
All right,
that's a good score, though. That's not that.
Well, it's not about
it is surprising, but I know.
It's just you just feel that broadening kind of happening, where they're like, "Oh, sure, why not?" So who knows? Who knows, Ralph?
Hey, if Beneath the 12-Mile Reef shows up, I mean, the music was used. Some of the music in that movie was used for the pilot episode of Lost in Space. So there might be a little bit of if anybody cares for the original Lost in Space pilot, maybe that'll do some interest. I say we go around the horn. Let's start with Mark. We'll go down to Paolo. We'll go clockwise and then back up to me.
Sure. So, I mean, I've put extensive thought into this, not just today, but daily. And I think some of these in different iterations of these types of videos, we've done a question like this before. So I've put some out there before of what I want. So I'll name new stuff. Things that I mentioned before, I still obviously want and are probably higher on my list. Some of these are less likely to happen, or in the version that I would like will probably be less likely to happen. But anyways, starting off, number one, I would like to see Planet of the Apes from Danny Elfman, the Mark Wahlberg film. So that movie, it wasn't like the biggest success for a lot of people, but I think the score really holds up. It did really well in the movie. I think it has really fantastic orchestrations. It took really great advantage of just it just added this layer to the movie to me, and the music does a ton of storytelling when you listen to it on its own. So I think that on vinyl would just be a really fun listen. It's got this really plucky string opening. It's got some cool synth mixed into it. So I think that it's just a really great album to listen to. That I don't know how long it's been, 20 years later, but
it's been a while.
But I still come back to it every once in a while. And I think it's one of those ones where I wouldn't put it at the top of my list, but if it was released, I would for sure buy it. Like it kind of reminds me of The Mask of Zorro being released by At the Movies. Like it wasn't at the top of my list, but I'm like, hell yeah, I'll buy that. That's a great one that I would like to get. So for that release, I would like to have it released by At the Movies. Kind of standard key art for the cover, a nice glossy.
Great, they had great posters for that movie.
They did. That I really do love it. Like really powerful imagery. The vinyl, I'd like to put it on like a kind of like some sort of blue swirl time travel, kind of effect. So that's what I would put out there for my number one.
I remember buying that CD at Tower because I knew it was coming out on a Tuesday. And it came out the same day as like a Britney Spears album or something.
So you had to get both.
I was like, holy shit! Like Tower's probably open for that. maybe I can go to Tower. It's midnight. Go. So I went to Tower. Went straight to the soundtrack section. Didn't see it. Walked over to the counter, and they had the cart that they used to wheel out all the new releases on, and I saw it on there. And I said, "Hey, can I get that Planet of the Apes?" And they're like, "Oh, that's for new releases." I said, "But it's Tuesday. It's officially Tuesday, and you're selling the Britney Spears thing, and that comes out on Tuesday." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, sure. Let me just make sure the barcode's in the system." And I totally got, and I blasted that thing. That score is awesome. I could see Waxwork doing that. If they're going to do Sleepy Hollow, I mean, it isn't the best like Planet of the Apes movie, but that's
definitely not.
Awesome. That score is great.
It's also not that bad. I feel like nowadays the quality of Blockbuster has gone down a bit. That you actually play it if you see it on streaming. I recently played it, and it's like, yeah, it's good. I mean, it's entertaining. Like, could be worse. Clearly, we've seen.
The special effects were good. The makeup and the costume.
Yeah, like it's not Morbius or something like that. Like.
Yeah. Whoa. Some of us like Morbius. Okay. No, Morbius was fine. What about you, Paolo? What do you got? What do you got up for number one? Because by the time we're done here, we should have a dozen recommendations to throw out to these. Is
it okay if I cheat and be like, say 2 right now, but it's like by a same composer?
I mean, if you want to.
All right.
We'll be a baker's dozen. I don't think. Listen, there's no format here, really.
There's a unity to it. There's a theme by it, so it has some logic. Like I'm not just throwing. But I'll start with friend of the show, Michael Giacchino, and there's 2 releases from him that I would love. Probably two of my favorite scores from his, and these were flops. So the chance of them appearing, but I'll start with what I at one point said was my second favorite overall score of all time, which was John Carter. The score he did for John Carter is just like sci-fi classic adventure scoring, thematic material. It's kind of like the kind of score that film music fans like really adore. Those rich thematic orchestra. I also like the movie. I mean, I think it was fine. Like,
I like the movie.
I liked it. I defended it. But in that same vein, there was another flop of his that I thought the score was amazing, which is Tomorrowland, another Disney. Those 2 Disney movies didn't do good. And Tomorrowland is, oh my God, I love it so much. It's such a great sci-fi. One of the themes to me just strikes, Giacchino, how he can do like that emotional core, just strike it. There's a theme there for sort of like, I don't know, the melody just sounds like very nostalgia and lost of something, that main character in that film, like as a kid, he's like an inventor, very optimistic, and then he grows up to be George Clooney and very jaded and like, I think Giacchino elevates, that material with his music more than what's actually on the script or screen. And I just love those 2, and I don't know, I hope I'm going to follow Mark's steps and try to come up with a label. I mean, I think hopefully Mondo, because they have a great relationship with him. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would be a great fit. I feel like also they have a great relationship with Disney, so that's a good fit. But it's not, I mean, yes, I need the music. I love them, but I would also want them to be done justice in terms of the packaging, because John Carter, can lend itself from some pretty cool images. Even the CD artwork for that, the Disney average CD looked pretty cool, which is a lot to say for nowadays. Usually it's like not that well thought of, but the promotional art from John Carter was really good.
Yeah. I feel like I could, for some reason, like when I think of like Disney Music Emporium, like on the 40th anniversary of Tron, they just released a record. Like it was bare bones, but the fact that they did that was kind of cool.
But that's the thing. So Tron makes sense. Disney Music Emporium, I don't see them going like, John Carter. That's a Disney title we should celebrate.
Man. They put out weird stuff every once in a while. Maybe like a D23 release. Like, do we have an anniversary? I could see them doing Tomorrowland.
I can see it more maybe, but yeah. One of my prized possessions in my music collection is actually a John Carter 2 CD promo release, which has like an additional music cue. And I once tried to find it, like even as like for download, like if it's some download website, you know, illegally sort of say, I couldn't even find it. So if you can't find it like that, then you have to say, boy, this is pretty rare. So I was like, cool. So yeah,
I approve both those. Those both sound awesome. David, you're up.
I've been kind of like pivoting around to try and decide which one I was going to pick, and I think Mark's influenced me with the Danny Elfman to pivot to a movie from the '90s called "To Die For." And you know, if you don't know that one, Nicole Kidman plays a small town weather anchor who aspires to be a big star, and it's a dark comedy, really young performance from Joaquin Phoenix. It's a dark comic drama with a murder, and it's super fun. But I'll tell you, there's an opening suite that he does for that movie that is one of my favorite things to listen to. And it's the credit sequence is great, and
with the guitar.
Yeah. And it has it's just a really cool, totally. I mean, it's from a very prolific period of him, but it doesn't also feel like so connected to some of his tells, you know, where it's like you can tell an Elfman, you know, from the first, you know, 4 bars or whatever. It has some of that for sure, of course, but it feels a little bit like not leaning on those as much. And I just thought, as a movie, it was just also a really important movie. Like, I loved that movie growing up. And so I've got nostalgia for it too.
Did they ever release a full score album? Because I know the album soundtrack has half songs, half. Because that would be really great if they could release a full score album of that.
Yeah, there's nothing that really is a good sample size of what's actually out there, and you know the themes of it about trying to become famous and the desperation and trying to be on video and be loved but for attention. Is really like, I just rewatched it last year and I was like, there's a part in it where I was like, oh my gosh, they're literally, this is predicting TikTok. I mean, the person's essentially like, well, I'd just like to be, you know, rich for being on TV. And like, you know, it was just like, I was just like, whoa, it really struck me how much the themes of it are totally relevant to the social media age. So I think it has maybe some legs from that standpoint too, but yeah. But so To Die For is definitely on my list.
All right. I like that one too. I think it should be done.
Elfman stuff has a pretty good chance of getting press, you know. To quote Mugatu, he's hot. That Elfman right now, he's hot. You know,
I can sense Waxwork doing a Mars Attacks soon.
Ooh.
I feel like a lot of people have been asking for Mars Attacks, and they've been do like a lot of Elfman, and I feel like that. What's that?
Or teased? Wasn't that teased by them?
I have no
could
idea.
Could be.
I
It
feel
rings
like
a bell. I mean, you're on the right track. It rings. That's how good of an option what you just said, that I just feel like it already happened. Like, yeah,
it feels like it should.
We're announcing it today. Waxwork's
exactly.
going to make it happen. So if you can just do that.
My first one, I've brought up on the show several times. It's one of my favorite scores by one of probably the greatest film composer of all time, John Williams. And this is a movie that came out right between his scores to The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's Heartbeeps.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And Heartbeeps, if you haven't heard it, speaking of orchestra mixed with like synth and electronics, Heartbeeps is nuts. Verez released it like back in the late 90s on their CD club. I got it because Film Score Monthly told me that they had always wished for that to get a release. And I feel like it's not a movie that a lot of people know about, but if you're going to come out with a vinyl with John Williams' name on it from that era, Williams, I think it'll sell. And I've been trying to bug Verez about doing an album release, because I'm assuming they still have the rights to put out the music. But even if they just did the poster cover, it's this beautifully painted, intricate poster of Andy Kaufman and Bernadette Peters as robots. And I believe Stan Winston did the designs for the robots. And it would be... I would take a bare bones version if that was the case. It's a tremendous score. If you haven't heard it, give it a shot, especially if you're a Williams fan.
Yeah, there's a ton of John Williams that are, to me, unknown or not talked about. And it's hard when you've got like 10 easily in the barrel that you could name as like hugely influential to be like, you haven't heard this tiny movie he did, but like he used to work. We used to work on other stuff, and I can't think of it right now. There's something in, you guys can't see this, but there's a huge stack of vinyl over here that is my like to listen, kind of stuff. And I found something in a movie he had done, a movie I'd never heard of, and his name is teeny tiny at the bottom. And it's just like, oh man, yeah, but that'd be a cool choice. I haven't heard that one at all. I'll have to check that out if I can stream it somewhere.
I feel like that's the score that always comes up when someone's when film music fans are talking about, and someone says, "Oh, John Williams never used synthesizers." Someone goes like, "Well, actually, there's the score Heartbeats. He used synthesizers." But yeah.
But he used synth. He used synth in Empire Strikes Back.
No, for sure. But
he's
like
used
such
it
a
before.
classic,
AI. He does like some techno shit. It's nuts.
Paolo, I love your actually internet guy impression. That's wonderful.
Well,
but I mean, if you get, I'll make sure you guys get a chance to check out that score. All right, Mark.
All right, next up, I'm gonna go with one I would like to will into this world, and I don't know what the realistic possibility. I would say medium, but I'm gonna go with Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. By Cliff Eidelman. And what I would like Mondo to do this, and I want them to do it in the same treatment as they did their Wrath of Khan.
Right? Yeah, I got that one too. It's amazing.
Here, they've got the SETI Alpha 5 kind of landscapes. Wow. I'd like to do that with Rurapenthe, nice wintry snow scene, and then maybe up top here, a nice big like General Chang that Kirk and McCoy are looking up towards. I would like that pressed onto Klingon blood pink vinyl. So it'd be kind of like a bubblegum pink vinyl. And that I would like as an expanded release. So
I love that, Mark. That one's real high on my list too. One of my favorites. I'd like all of the original series movies pressed out of principle. And because I don't think 5 is out there. But 6, I genuinely really adore and would love to have that.
I think it's just so different, and it hits a little bit differently than the other ones. It's got this awesome sort of dark and brooding theme to it, and then it finishes off with that beautiful signature theme. I mean, love it.
I might watch that.
That sounds good. Yeah,
me too.
So has Mondo only done the one?
Yeah.
I like your idea a lot about having like the same kind of like landscape and just like following that same composition, like creating like a series of like that would look gorgeous if you could just like recreate that, but like different landscapes for each movie. Like
search for Spock. You could
like
do like the Genesis planet.
Yeah. Who's the composer, Mark, for Undiscovered Country? I can't remember.
Cliff Eidelman.
Cliff Eidelman. Okay.
I feel like that Wrath of Khan packaging is set up in such a way to do just that. Like it, yeah.
Do you have the Nebula variant for that one?
Sadly, I do not have the Mutara Nebula one. I slumming it with the you bastard.
It is. I only say it because it is one of my favorite colorways. It is. It looks good. I use it in the when I did the Mondo video. That was when I was like, I'll use this for B-roll for sure. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Paolo? Let's do your next.
Okay, I have like a list of 15 here, and I'm like,
I know
picking. Depends on the mood I am. All right. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna go with Silvestri.
Okay.
And I might have mentioned this before, so I might not be surprising, but I love his score for Van Helsing, and
Really?
I need, like, my Halloweens are not complete without having that. Like, I need this on vinyl so I can just blast it at full volume. I don't know if you are familiar with that score, but it's like if a mob was banging on the doors of hell. That's what it sounds like. The beginning is just percussion and over the top dramatic, just bombastic. And yeah, I actually feel like this has a really good chance of getting pressed because it's in the horror genre. And eventually someone's going to be like, what are we, Van Helsing, classic someone's got to like that. So yeah.
I wonder too, as the years go on, people start to like love things in a way that's different. Like I love that movie.
Me too. I like it.
I love it. It's a great Saturday movie. It's totally like, I can fall asleep for 20 minutes and then pop back up and be like, yo, all right, where are we at? It's totally one of those. And
like
Hugh Jackman's got good charm and but yeah, the score really helps also kick it up to me when I rewatch.
Well, they released the movie in 4K, so I was like, really? I didn't know someone was expecting this, unlike me. But it's good to know that, David, you're an also Van Helsing fan.
Oh yeah.
Should we start the subreddit for Van Helsing? You and I, being like, we can be the moderators.
I'm kind of a permanent Dracula like fan, so if whatever variations that kind of exist about Dracula, I'm kind of semi-interested in, and then go from there.
That's a good Google. I don't remember who the actor was who portrayed that. I felt like he did a good job because, to me, that movie knows what it is. It doesn't take itself seriously. Everyone's sort of like, we're this is sort of like we're having fun with it over the top, and that guy really has fun with it.
Was that directed by Steven Sommers?
Yeah.
Well, the
that probably came out
next year.
Oh, I could see Waxwork doing something fun with that.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a in their wheelhouse.
You know how we've mentioned like, oh, this label has a relationship with this composer. I feel like Silvestri doesn't have a home. Like, if I could think of one, would be maybe like music on vinyl. Like, they have released a couple of Silvestri stuff. They release. I have The Walk.
Yeah, because I feel like Mondo's relationship with him is Back to the Future based. Yeah. Like, I don't know if they ever released another Silvestri score.
Speaking of, we can just do this round about Silvestri score. He's one of those composers hasn't really been pressed a lot on vinyl, and there's so much.
Yeah, my next one is someone that doesn't have a lot of. Actually, my next two are people who just don't have enough vinyl presence for my taste. David, how about you? What do you got up next?
Well, I got a classic guy, and so he's got lots of records pressed, lots of records that I don't think everybody is always looking for. But mine is Dirty Harry with music by Lalo Schifrin. And he makes, I love Lalo Schifrin because he has this great mix of Latin jazz influences in, he wrote a lot of jazz records just flat out. And there is, I think the score for Dirty Harry is kind of a blend of like low jazz percussion and these kinds of really smooth compositions. And he did Bullet. If people are like, that's what probably like one of his biggest ones. He did Bullet, which is really busy in comparison to this. This is much more like smooth. You can feel that kind of smooth jazz energy that kind of comes behind it. And there are a couple of Dirty Harry compilations. So like you can get a record set that has 3 songs from each movie or something. But you can't get just straight up, which I think is shocking. Just Dirty Harry. There's so much great art for the posters for that, and just I can't believe there's not a full record of that out there, considering it was such a big hit and the era. So that's something I would love to see put out. And I haven't explored the CD market to even know if there's like a full CD of it, maybe from Film Score Monthly or La La Land or one of the others, because then that always gives me like okay, well they dug it all up and they cleaned it up. That makes us one step closer. A little bit of the hard work's been done, but I would really love it, and I can just see the artwork opportunities. I think are really rare. So that's one that I've always really wanted.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm down with that. I like Lalo Schifrin. I really like his score to Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, that one's super funky. Like he has his scores have a lot of really cool energy when he gets involved. And he had a song that the Mission Impossible theme, of course, but he had a song from that show that was reused in Better Call Saul. And it's one of the last episodes, one of the last famous like montages they do in Better Call Saul, and it has this Lalo Schifrin song to it, and it is funky and fun, and it's pitch perfect to the scene. So I think you got a little you got the Better Call Saul bump recently, from that.
So my next one is from a composer that had a lot of stuff released on vinyl in like the 80s when they were still just, that was a format that was being put out there. But then as soon as I started getting into him in like 93, I believe, with the score to The Fugitive, and they stopped making records, there's not been a lot of James Newton Howard on the board. And I was thinking about James Newton Howard scores that would, I think, do very, very well in a current release on vinyl, and that's his score to Signs. I think Signs is what?
There's a box set, or on its own you could get it.
For Signs?
Breaking news! We're making dreams come true.
Wait, when did this happen?
It's wax. Is it Waxwork?
No.
Is not released.
I think we're both getting confused, but they did Sixth Sense, not Signs. Varese did
Sixth Sense. Varese did Sixth Sense. Waxwork did Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. The Glass trilogy.
Waxwork did the trilogy.
Oh, maybe I'm. So is it?
So if there's a Signs out there.
So good news.
Can
you're
we
correct.
solve this?
Bad news.
Yeah, go ahead and look. Go ahead and look, because I feel like that movie's so well known for its score. That score is amazing, and I feel like if anyone were to release a version of it now on vinyl, it would have people would get it.
Oh, Signs is adored. Signs is adored as a movie.
Yeah, it's
I totally think that's possible.
In that same vein, there's not a release of The Village, right?
No,
I would
which
love
should
The Village.
also, like, that's a toss up for me, because all of his scores for the M. Night movies, which I found out M. Night wouldn't give him any notes. James Newton Howard had full reign over those movies. That's why I like doing them. But I mean, A Lady in the Water from At the Movies, using that poster artwork would be amazing with a blue vinyl. But I of all the ones of those, I thought Signs would be the one that would make money. But
there's a Signs remixes album on a 12-inch. Some Paul Oakenfold, Crystal Method remixes. So there you got that.
No. I didn't find anything either. I didn't find anything.
So I'm full of crap. So I was totally mixing up with the other ones.
But I have Unbreakable, because that score's amazing also. But Unbreakable's been still available on Waxwork for like 5 years. So I don't see Waxwork running out and grabbing another James Newton Howard score.
They bit hard on that.
What about a James Newton Howard M. Night Shyamalan collaboration box set.
Yeah.
I mean, us four. Would
Honestly, there's not like. Is there a
Then
mix?
after that-
Is there a miss there? Like, is there like a dud?
Well, I mean,
in
there's
terms of
like
score?
there's Airbender. There's the last
That's
Airbender.
great. That's an
The
amazing
score is
score.
amazing.
Yeah.
The Happening, good score. What was the After Earth, which is pretty good.
I didn't see
There's
that.
funny. There's a theme in After Earth. After Earth came out like a month before Man of Steel, and they both have the same theme in it. There's no way. I'm the only thing in my brain that I could think of is it's an unused theme from Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns or whatever it is, the Dark Knight, that they both went off and put into their movies at the same time without knowing. But that would be, I mean, I would really just want the first 4. Sixth Sense, which I have on vinyl through Verez, Unbreakable, which I have through Waxwork, but then Signs and Lady in the Water, for sure. Those 4.
The Village has been on my short list. I would want that one.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for that movie.
Yeah. It's when I first saw The Village, and this is spoilers for anybody who
I
hasn't
haven't seen
The
it,
Village.
so please, I could.
Okay, just do that.
I'm meaning to watch it, but I know it's.
I'll put
watch it
my
blind.
thumb up when I'm done. So the opening shot is a tombstone that says whatever, the year 1891, and I was like, what if it isn't 1891? And then the whole movie, I'm like, oh shit, I figured it out. I was too okay. You're good. But that was it. I just figured it out in the first like 2 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Signs was ruined, or The Sixth Sense was ruined for me. So.
Oh yeah, and it's a great movie to watch blind. I think knowing the least about it.
I think I like some. It was somewhat spoiled for me, but I'm trying to forget everything I know because I do want to watch it.
Have you heard the score?
No.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of scores without seeing movies.
I try not to.
Like I love Elfman Summersby. I'm never gonna watch that movie ever.
Yeah.
But dude, The Village, the score to The Village, I would say watch The Village, because it's a pretty good movie, but the score is phenomenal. I love the score. It's very violin solo heavy. Oh, it's real good.
There's a book about film music. Is it Hollywood Harmony or something? I was reading like a book about sort of like the art of film music, and they start with a Sixth Sense analysis, sort of like how he's like killing it basically, ensuring like this is how good he is. So would it be cheating if I mentioned a James Newton Howard score that I had on my list, but wouldn't count as the ones that I third? But
so far you've cheated every round, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now.
I mean,
Dave.
for it.
I love Dave.
Dave's good.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for it.
I love Dave too.
I've mentioned it before, but I really want to will this into the world. James Newton Howard. I want Pretty Woman on vinyl, a full score. They've never released it, never even a cue on the
He got
actual
nominated
soundtrack.
for that score, right?
He should have. It's a beautiful score. My wife walked down the aisle to that, not even knowing what it was. I told her it's awesome and that we should use it. It's a beautiful score. Let's put that out on vinyl, guys.
There must just be a soundtrack release then, because I have it on vinyl.
There's a great soundtrack release of just like the songs from the movie, but there's no score material.
Yeah, I found some used Target copy that was like hot pink.
Yeah,
and I thought, this will be good to have around. So it was I grabbed it. So that didn't have any score on it, I bet.
No.
Gotcha.
And The Fugitive.
So you wanted, yeah.
I mean, yes.
I thought that's where you were headed. I thought you were going for The Fugitive, and I was
that
about
too.
to
Yeah.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah. I just think that like Signs would sell better than The Fugitive, because I would also want The Interpreter, and literally I'm probably the only person that cares about the score to The Interpreter.
That was the Sean Penn, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, it reminds me of The Fugitive, but less 90s sounding. Like it's more orchestral than
I gotta listen to that. I love.
I gotta re-listen.
Yeah.
Listen to The Interpreter.
What a way to pitch it. That's old.
I don't know that you can doubt the dad power of The Fugitive, though. I just gotta warn you, man. But no, Signs would definitely outsell The Fugitive. But I bet The Fugitive would put up some good numbers. You know, I bet it would.
Yeah, he needs to find a home. He needs to go through. I'm assuming waxwork. I don't know how much.
Cue the vinyl. That could be his home.
It'll be ours. Yeah. We could be. Just saying, it could start right here.
I wish. I didn't play that Mega Lotto last week. I probably should have. There's only one winner. 100%. I would start up a record company that released things like 12 Mile Reef and The Fugitive. At least The Fugitive would get some views. 12 Mile Reef. Have 12 Mile Reef. You have to like.
I'll buy it just to support your new startup vinyl. But I don't know.
I think you would love it. I think you would
probably
like it.
Yeah.
Bernard Herrmann's great. I love Bernard Herrmann.
Oh yeah. I just haven't heard. He has so many.
Yeah. Mark, you're up.
All right,
Mark.
All right. So
your last one, right?
My last one. So buckle up because this is a doozy. So for my final choice, I've got notes here because I thought about this extensively. So I wanted a fun listen. You know, sometimes you get scores and they're almost a little bit of a chore to listen to, or they're intense and heavy. I wanted something light, fun, you know, not intellectual. I just wanted to have a good time. I also wanted to incorporate a fun aspect of the vinyl hobby into acquiring this record. So that'll come into play a bit later for how you actually get it. So the said record is National Treasure by Trevor Rabin.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
So I'm fine if they do the second one as well. That's equally enjoyable. But artwork can be standard key art, but I'd like maybe a nice gold embossing on all the, on the pyramids and the lettering and that sort of thing. Give a nice little shine. The liner notes, I would like it to be printed on kind of an old parchment paper, but you actually can't read it. You have to use like lemon juice.
Yes.
To be able to read the actual liner notes.
So now people have to buy 2 copies, one that they can ruin with lemon juice.
It wouldn't ruin. It would enhance.
But
kind of like
clean
Fight Club
too.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So, and the vinyl would be pressed onto Liberty Bell copper color. So, nice little look there.
That sounds good.
In terms of the pressing, there's going to be 1,776 of these pressed, so 1776. Now, I'm Canadian, but I'm a big U.S. history fan. Like, I took U.S. history in high school over Canadian history because ours is really boring. We talk about like the fur trade. And some like battles between England and France, but
you can't do that on television.
But yeah, U.S. history, very interesting. So in terms of where you could buy these, you could only buy these in a museum gift shop. So no record stores, not online. Now, according to my research, there's 35,000 museums in the United States. So it'd be divided amongst those. And it'd be pared down to the ones that are more lean towards like historical kind of museums. So there'd be some work involved in choosing those. And this would encourage tourism and education, much like the National Treasure franchise.
I wonder, how many record stores there are nationwide too, because you might have tapped into a larger retail chain.
That's right.
Than the existing record stores.
It's true.
So, very smart, Mark. Very smart.
Oh, there's more. So out of this 1776, there will be 13 copies, 13 for the original states.
Colonies.
Okay. Sorry. I didn't do that well in that history class. 13 original colonies. Those cannot be purchased. These have to be stolen from famous landmarks, and they're hidden throughout the country. Now, some of these have certain ciphers and puzzles that you have to solve to break into some sort of case to actually be able to get said record. Now, these will be stamped onto actual gold. So it is an actual national treasure that you are obtaining.
It's a good incentive.
Exactly.
It really ups the ante there.
Yeah, and this will all pair with a big press tour promotional campaign for National Treasure 3 that Disney will make in the next 2 years. So that is my pitch.
My question is, what happens if you go through all of that and then
Mhm.
the sleeve is broken and you have to return it?
Oh, you would call customer service and complain like a proper vinyl geek.
There's no following that, Mark. Like, you won. Like, how can you like top that? That is, I thought you went in a really good route. I thought you were gonna be like, there's only just one copy, and whoever finds it has it. You're like, that's gonna be brutal.
Yeah, I did. I was thinking theft from the beginning.
I already was thinking like the four of us meet on the one Mount Rushmore on top of it, like we're rushing to get the clues. We find it. Yeah,
it's hidden behind the Declaration of Independence.
Probably one would be there, one of the 13.
Oh, that'd be the easiest one to get because it'd be obvious.
Yeah.
As a fellow National Treasure fan, Mark, as a fellow National Treasure fan, have you watched the new? Is it a show or a movie? I still haven't. But
it's a show.
It's a show. Have you watched it yet?
Not yet. I'm still catching. I just caught up on Jack Ryan, and now I'm getting into Andor.
Yeah, it's on my work.
I've got work to do.
Andor's good. I just finished watching Willow. Speaking of James Newton Howard doing James Horner. It's pretty good stuff.
Sometimes. There's some musical choices in that show. For sure.
Oh, I'm not talking about the music supervision on that show. I'm not talking about I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there is a spoiler alert, a pop cover of Enter Sandman in Willow. So that's the level of music decision making that's going on. It's nuts. It's nuts.
There's just so much more than just that too. Like there's a lot of music choices.
It's a lot. It's decisions. They made decisions and were like, all right, Good Vibrations. I think Good Vibrations, the Beach Boys played in it.
Yeah, I think seeing the whole show, and I know we're really getting derailed here, but I think seeing the show as a whole, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get what the goal is, but I think they should have just started a different series and called the fantasy show for young people, and then a sequel to Willow is a different thing, but it's okay. I'm trying not to.
It's a bizarre show.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
Old man about it. Let it ride.
I really enjoyed it, but I was like, holy cow! When they started playing Enter Sandman, I'm like, I know James Newton Howard worked with Metallica on Jungle Cruise, but he knows he's doing Enter Sandman, right? And then it just full on turned it into a pop song cover of Enter Sandman. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay.
It felt like a real Stranger Things move. I felt that was really the gears I thought they were trying to catch are little bit of Stranger Things somehow. But
I hope it's not diegetic music.
It's not.
No. No. You just gotta watch and see.
Paul. You gotta watch it. It's nuts.
It's
a crazy show.
You're not convincing me right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not.
Well,
we're not the demographic. 100%, we're not the demographic.
Okay. But I should have been. But they decided that I was not the demographic. So and again, I think that if people dig it and the people who are watching it are loving it, I'm totally go in peace, enjoy. I'm not like, you ruined this. I'm not nothing like that. Nothing like that. But I just said several times, I was like, wow, this is happening right now.
I mean, there's a giant demon witch that's CG that calls the main character a bitch. And I'm like, wow, this is nuts.
See, now I want to watch it again. Now you're getting me hooked.
I think I listen, I really enjoyed my time with it. But it is not made for me. It's not made for 45-year-old dudes. There is one
really cool villain design. There's actually a lot of really great production design in it. I will say, but there's one villain in particular who wears this giant spiked cage, as that's just on his head permanently. And he's a big ogre looking guy, and the production design on that guy is awesome.
That's the dude who plays Chewbacca.
Yeah. It's the same. The new Chewbacca actor. So.
Yeah. All righty.
That's the end of this Willow episode.
Yeah, you can have another video. Willow reactions.
Yeah.
I think we said what we needed to say. Yeah, watch an episode. You'll figure out what's going on. You'll know by the end of the first episode if it's for you or not. But it's nuts.
Yeah.
All right, so
Nuts.
I'm
Paolo,
up next, right?
Yeah, and you have to let us know how it's going to be distributed and how elaborate.
Well, this is
I would totally. By the way, I would totally join that hunt for that score. By the way,
this is gonna be anticlimactic, but I really want this to exist, and so much. I guess I'll pick this because it has a story, but my pick is for The Dark Knight Returns by Christopher Drake. It is a Warner Brothers animated straight to Blu-ray.
Oh,
it
yeah.
is my favorite of them. I did a video for this on the Gigawatts YouTube channel. Plug. Just how much I love this score. It's by Christopher Drake. I mean, I said in that video, Batman is perhaps the character that has the best music in all of film music. I don't know, like it's him or James Bond or Indiana Jones, but still up there for sure. Even with that said, to me, this is among my favorite. It's just so rich with thematic material, so well written, and the action scoring too. He Christopher Drake talked about this, about borrowing a page from Jerry Goldsmith and sort of doing music in like 5/8. I think it's something like that, to like really, he's just like, he was a huge Batman fan all of his life, and you can just tell someone just was super pumped and went beyond and above what the assignment was for this like straight to Blu-ray film, which again, the films I love also. The films are great. But I guess the story is, I actually tried to release this at one point. I cold call Water Tower Music, be like, hey, is this available? Oh, blah, yeah. I mean, it took me like months just to get past like some kind of, get to the right person that I wanted to release it. I mean, I did the numbers back. This is like 2015 maybe, so it's different. But so who would release it? Hopefully someday. But I like that score, and honestly, if someone released it, I wouldn't be I would just be psyched. To borrow a page from
I feel like Mondo would do it. They release all kinds of Batman stuff. They have a ton of Batman.
I mean, that's the thing. That's what I was sort of like in my head. I was like, this justifies like the economic spend on it, because it's Batman, and anything Batman will spend. On top of that, it is like an actual great score. So yeah, I'm confident that it will sort of, it could succeed. I would do, so this is 2 movie. It's The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and The Dark Knight Returns Part 2. So this actually is great for like a box set, kind of sort of like those like 4 LPs, kind of like the Mondo Avengers one or like the Rogue One, like a little bit on the smaller side. But so I would do for a box set. And I don't know if are you familiar with the comics? Or, I mean, the films are an adaptation of the comic. It's the same thing, but it's like, I would do one colorway being like Batman colors, another Robin, another Joker, and another Two-Face. Those are like the main 4 characters. And it's like,
what about like Robin? I was gonna say, what about Carrie Kelly?
Carrie Kelly. But it's basically like John Carpenter style scoring for Batman. I just love it. It's like,
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, I've seen the movie, but I didn't take note of the score.
Yeah, I'll die in that hill. Like, that's the one that I've decided I'm gonna champion this score all throughout, because it's just like an absolute.
Because they've done Elfman Batman scores. They've done the Giacchino's, the animated series.
Yeah, but I mean, you still have, technically, I would probably Batman Mask of the Phantasm will probably be first on the list.
Yeah.
Like, Phantasm would, like, people are dying to get that. That's actually like happening. There's no way that's not gonna happen.
Is that Shirley Walker?
Yeah.
Too? Yeah. Well, I've been amazed. This is part of my life. I love Batman my whole life, but there was some moment in my life where I was in bands. I stopped watching TV, and so many animated movies were made. And then I got HBO Max, and they have them all. And I was like, oh, let me look at it. And I was like scrolling. I was like 21, 22, 20. I was like, where did all these come from? So it's been fun to kind of. Some of them are like 45 minutes. They're not like epic. But, but it's been fun to like just try one out.
They're really fun. They're Batman by Gaslight. I think it's.
That was really good.
That one's fun. Year
Steampunk.
Year One is really good. Bryan Cranston doing.
I like Doom.
Gordon. Yeah.
I like Doom was good.
I think I actually like their animated stuff. I think it's better than their theatrical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want someone to do Green Lantern stuff. There's I don't think any Green Lantern thing has ever been released on vinyl, including James Newton Howard's score. But we'll see if that happens. That's not on my list, but I figured I can break the rules too. David, what's your final?
I got 3 on the list. I 3 more that I've been kind of circling. I think I'm gonna go a really personal route, and one that's also inspired by your T-shirt, Ralph, because I'm convinced TerrorVision should do this movie. There is a horror movie that came out in 1987 called The Stepfather, and it is Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah.
He plays the guy from Lost. He plays Locke. He plays the stepfather, and he basically is some sort of serial killer who gets close to families, marries them, and then murders everybody. And so the story picks up is that he's just now starting to relocate to do this again. And it's set in Seattle area. Like, it was all shot in Washington, which is really close to me. So it has some of that vibes, but it has a great orchestral score by, and not a big orchestra, but lots of string work by a guy. I'm going to have to just make sure I get it right because he's just not done a ton of work. It's by Patrick Moraz, and he is a backup keyboardist for Yes and the Moody Blues. So he's a big studio, a player, and so he has not done a ton of stuff, but it's exactly the kind of like underground VHS hit that I could see TerrorVision jumping on. And I surreptitiously kind of ask, like, hey, you ever think about The Stepfather? Because I think it's something that would, 750 copies of this bad boy is all the world needs, and the artwork, the poster is awesome. And so I really hope that they do that. And it says, and it's a scene it's kind of a scene. The poster is a combination of a line he says in the movie and a scene that's in the movie. And it's a mirror. It's like post shower. He's all dressed. And on the mirror, it says, "Who am I here?" And it references a moment in the movie where he can't remember for a second which version of himself he's supposed to be in this family. And so I just think it's a terrific little slashers, probably a micro budget, but took itself seriously in the right way. It's not jokey. It's it kind of has I bet somebody saw Fatal Attraction and said, hey, what if we like upped the ante a couple of different ways? And, something kind of like that. It's really in that era. So that's known. You can probably watch Stepfather on Tubi right now. Terry O'Quinn kills it. He is chewing the scenery in all the right ways. And I really do recommend it.
That sounds right. No, sorry. We all want to talk about it. Let's go, Mark and Paolo than me. Yeah.
Do you think it would stand up to an audience? Say, like if I were to go watch it right now, would it seem very dated?
I would say that it's for horror fans, and so I do think it holds up. But I don't know that you would be like, oh my gosh, I loved that the way I did. But I think I like horror more than you. in general. Like,
Yeah,
you know, but yeah, I mean, I think it holds up. I do. I don't think it falls apart. Like, I'm not trying to convince people to watch like Friday the 13th and be like, this is a really important horror scary movie. I mean, those movies have flaws everywhere, and that's more of the fun of it. This is a legit film. People tried to make a good movie here for sure.
And it's Terry O'Quinn, so
yeah, one of his first big roles for sure.
Yeah.
Did that movie had a remake? Was there like a Stepfather in the 90s?
Yeah,
there
there was.
Yeah.
Or 2009.
Something
Like,
I don't know.
it was redone.
Was it Vince Vaughn who started
Maybe.
the remake?
I haven't seen it.
I think that was Psycho.
Bagley?
I've seen Stepfather 2, which is kind of where it kind of goes off the rails because he's pretty dead in the first one. So they kind of come up with some, cockamamie reasons. And then that one leans into Terry O'Quinn's ability to be over the top. And it gets sillier very quickly. But that first one, I stand by. I think that's a great movie.
Yeah, I've heard of that movie, and I can see it being right in Terror Vision's wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think so too.
100%.
I think it's a good match for them. I do.
Yeah.
And yeah.
My final one is from a composer who doesn't get a lot of vinyl love. I think he has 4 vinyl available in his entire career. And only one of his James Bond scores is available on vinyl. That's David Arnold.
Wow.
And I'm not picking a James Bond score for David Arnold because I feel like eventually those are going to happen. At the movies released Casino Royale a year or 2 ago, I can see them. They just released Skyfall for a 10th anniversary, and I'm just waiting for that Quantum of Solace. The Tomorrow Never Dies needs to be on there.
For the non-Bond diehards, can you remind me which ones are his?
So he did Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, and Quantum of Solace.
Okay, perfect.
And then none of the Brosnan era is available on vinyl. But I mean, do we want GoldenEye on vinyl?
There's a couple guys that do.
Don't people really dislike that
completist
like film the score, like, you know,
in the commentary? In the commentary, the producer says that it was a mistake hiring Eric Serra for the job.
Oh, so, poor guy.
I mean, they got exactly what they wanted.
I love The Fifth Element. He's a great composer.
He was amazing there.
He was, you know,
just a bad
miscast. Yeah.
I bet people will be more excited for the soundtrack to the video game of GoldenEye,
which I think
is available.
Enjoy the Ride released.
Yeah, okay. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
They posted about it today.
Well, maybe I'm just maybe that's just I'm coming up with a good idea. You know, they should. I mean, I probably read it earlier and I forgot already.
But the score I'm choosing for David Arnold, because he only has like a handful, like Narnia 2, Hot Fuzz, Casino Royale, and then like I don't know. I think it's a vampire show or a Dracula show that he worked on. But his first major score, 100% needs to be on vinyl, and that's Stargate. Stargate is not on vinyl, and I feel like people who like film music know that score, and then with the success of like the TV shows, there's sort of a group out there that would want a Stargate vinyl, but I feel like I need like at least a 3-disc full score of Stargate. It's incredible. He did one movie before Stargate, but it was a smaller movie called like The Young Americans. But this was his first like major motion picture, and it is, I mean, it's one of the greats. It's one of the greats, and the fact that it doesn't have a vinyl release is like criminal.
Yeah,
Can I tag in here? Originally, this was going to be one of my options, actually. So I didn't think there would be a double. But again, in terms of my vision for the record, it was going to be like a Stargate that you had to like enter the right kind of combination to be able to open properly.
I thought you were going to like, I was like, well, you got to go to the right dimension for this one, guys. Good luck. I hope you find it. It's in the sand.
Oh, it's amazing. It's one of my favorite scores of all time.
I think that's gonna happen. I can see that happening. I can see like
Yeah.
Independence Day, Godzilla also. Like those
Quartet,
are
maybe.
beloved scores.
Quartet, maybe that UK label, which I'm really
well, I
into
mean,
stuff.
at the movies released the Narnia and the Casino Royale. So
well, there you go. They've
kind of got it in with David Arnold. But yeah, he's got like 4 vinyl, and I'm like, dude, to put out like his score to Shaft is amazing. His Independence Day is good. His Godzilla, I feel like of all the Waxwork and Mondo stuff that's coming out surrounding Godzilla, they have all the bases covered with the exception of that 98 Godzilla movie, which isn't really great, but the score is wonderful. So I just kind of want more David Arnold, but if you're going to do anything from him, Stargate has to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. One of my first movies in the theater. That I really like. I really remember. Willow and Stargate are like two of the ones I saw right there.
Yeah.
This is a separate topic that I would love to be a fly on the wall of, but I'm really curious how Waxwork and Mondo has all this Godzilla stuff worked out. Like they've got Mondo's got these, and then Waxwork has these. I really want to know how that
maybe it's
out.
who gets there first. That's why they come so fast. I don't know.
Well, Waxwork has the Showa series, which is the original like 50s, 60s, 70 run, and then they Mondo has, when Godzilla came back, High Sea series. I forget. I'm not good at remembering the eras, but Mondo essentially has from Return of Godzilla from 1984 till Godzilla Final Wars. And then as far as like the other Toho properties, they don't have, they just kind of are all over the place. Like Mondo has Space Amoeba and Matango, and then the Waxwork has War of the Gargantuas and Mothra. But Waxworks is releasing Shin Godzilla, which is like the most recent Toho one. So they jumped past the stuff that Mondo was. I have no idea, but I'm buying it all. And last week I spent $150, $160 on three records from Mondo because they decided to release them all at once. And I bought it on my way to Amoeba Records to pick up the limited edition Clear Glass Onion soundtrack. So I spent like $210.
That was a big day.
In like 3 hours on. Yeah. And she doesn't watch this one, but they're on their way. My Rebirth of Mothra 3 is on its
way.
The
runtime. So
yeah. But yeah, I don't know how they divvied it up, but I'm glad they're doing it, and I'm hoping somebody picks up that 98 Godzilla, because the legendary ones also, Waxwork got like has been getting like Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong, and then Sony Classical released Alexander Desplat's Godzilla.
You can't leave Matthew Broderick out in the cold here. Okay,
no, it's the only one.
You're gonna do all of them.
Only one.
Don't feel
and
bad.
It's David Arnold. Let the guy have a record, for crying out loud.
Instead of bootleg vinyl, they should do bootleg packaging. A packaging to house all of them. You know, the Mondo and the Waxwork in the same packaging.
Yeah, I got crap on Instagram once for mixing my Mondo with my Waxwork, but it was my Godzilla shelf, and I put them in the year they were released, and I'm like, whatever.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not going to remember which did
the
what.
internet is a special place.
Guys, I know. I try to. Why I don't like. I don't know. The vinyl community is fun, but sometimes there's just a person that they think their way is the right way to do it, and I'm like, I mean, if I don't want to find my records, I'll put them all according to labels, but I'm not going to remember. I like putting them in an order of composers, for the most part, because if I want to listen to Danny Elfman, I don't have to remember what she did for Waxwork and which was on Mondo or which was on whatever else.
Do it by mood. Have your morning mist section here. Whatever works.
I'll color code them.
I do mine by film title, to be honest.
Yeah, I do film title.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For but like my regular section, which is behind me, this way. This is all rock, blues, jazz, whatever. That's
I
by
have a
artist.
shelf.
Yeah.
That's by artist. And then once I have a group that's artists, then I do them chronological, right? And then and then for each record, if there's like if I have 3 copies, it would go original, then represses, subsequently. So that's me, but whatever
Exactly
works,
the same.
yeah, whatever works for somebody,
And then you have a cube for copies of The Witch.
But I can't imagine like deconstructing my rock section to be like by Sub Pop and by Up Records and by Swami, like and by label would just I can't even fathom that.
Yeah. I have one cube of songs with words. Oh my! Just then you guys hang out over here. My scores are all going to hang out on this area.
It took me a second to get that songs with words.
Let's do some plugs for you guys, and I'll pop up your info as you go. We'll start with Mark.
I have a channel called Popcorn and Vinyl that I occasionally post to in flurries of videos, and then I disappear for a while. Kind of like a Terrence Malick, just pops up and in, and then go away for 10 years. So that's my style. So if you want to hang out for the long haul, I'll pop in every once in a while.
That'd be fun. Do a Terrence Malick like video of a vinyl record. What would that look like? I don't know.
Earth Tones,
You can
Gigawatts
YouTube channel. You can find that, and then I also do a podcast with Sophia Matano called "The Song Will Go On," and we talk about songs with words, specifically soundtracks. Movie soundtracks. We talk about them. We've been taking a break from the holidays, but still, 19 episodes there. You can sort of binge listen to if you
got a great first season out that you can digest.
Yeah, I think unfortunately we're waiting until summer to like come back with like, I don't know. It's just so much work that podcast is specifically, but I miss it a lot.
Show's great. The show's great, and I think we had a bit of a cameo from Sophie in the back there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was a little bit early. Eagle-eyed viewers might have to go back.
Half of a script for the Avatar 1 finish for the song, the weekend song for the Avatar. It's just
wow.
I haven't seen it.
Avatar 2? You haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
That's
How's the score?
Actually, people love the score. I haven't had the chance to listen to it, but people really love the score. Apparently, he does a really good job at paying tribute to the work that Horner did and taking that and then also making his own thing. Like my Twitter's been blowing up, my timeline with just people like, "Oh my god, I love it." So
maybe I'll check it out. David?
Well, my biggest thing is Avatar 2, of course. I've been working on that, and it's out now, and it's going pretty well. Me and Jim, I think we nailed it. I have a YouTube channel. It's called The Vinyl Score, and I have been releasing videos very slowly in 2022, but I've got some stuff for 2023. I post a lot on Instagram about daily things that I'm, just enjoying and loving and showing off. So definitely follow there. And I like to give people a heads up too, like do little vinyl PSAs so people don't miss out on pre-orders if they're not following everybody, do things like that. Just chat about what all the stuff that's going on. So if you want a new way to spend money and know when the opportunities are, come join me. I'm also on Twitter too. You can find me there, but I got some fun videos planned for 2023. I have a lot of Twin Peaks videos. It's one of my favorites, and I've got a final Twin Peaks video that I will have completed my magnum opus that will cover the third and final season, The Return. So
Cool. I'll watch all of that stuff. I look forward to it. Thank you for joining me. Everybody can, knows where to watch this show. I mean, you're here, so you found it. Good job. And I look forward. Like, I seriously think every single one of these things should show up on vinyl. It should. Like, there's no reason any of these choices.
We're an excellent committee.
Yeah,
I
feel like this should be passed around to the different companies, and they should divvy up who gets to release what.
I'm sure when this is posted, that first hour will be a lot of industry eyes saying, "Okay, oh God, okay, they've updated their list. We gotta plug in for this."
Where do we source parchment?
Yeah.
Let me check with
the lemon juice.
The Vinyl Brain Trust. Let me check with them. See,
they'll be on the phone. So like, no, pass. He needs parchment, lemon water. Whatever it is. It'll be madhouse for that. They'll be like, 2023 is all changed.
Yeah.
Ditch this. We're going straight for National Treasure. And you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. These are all free ideas. We're not getting anything. Except for the Dark Knight Returns that Paolo's going to produce himself. He'll make
hopefully,
I'll buy one.
I'd support any of you guys putting out your own stuff for sure. You let me know,
including the Beneath the 12-Mile Reef.
Yeah, Ralph, you bet. I mean, support you. Like, I'm going to buy 2 copies for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do
the same. Not joking. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, save some vinyl for the other 5 guys that want that.
Okay, right. I'll do whatever you want. Okay.
All right, and I'll make sure I get you guys to listen to Heartbeeps. I think I have a way for you to do that. And thanks for joining me, and everybody watching. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
See ya.